Landscape photography can be one of the most rewarding experiences you can have in the outdoors. And if you're new to landscape photography, I'm here to share some of the essential tools you'll need if you're just starting out in landscape photography. My goal also is to help you save a little bit of money because, there are certain things that I feel like are essential, but there's ways to save money as well. And so in this video, I'm going to share some tips that I have found useful after many years of doing landscape photography. So of course, the most important thing is to have a camera. Now, when I first started out in landscape photography, I had a DSLR. It was a Canon Rebel, and it was just fine for starting out. I found it very good at the time, and you know what? It lasted me for a few years, and then I decided to upgrade. So if you're just starting out, you might get a good deal on one, and maybe that is what you can afford, and so why not go for it? You don't need a large megapixel camera like this one. This is a Sony a7R IV, and it has 61 megapixels. Now, I sell a lot of prints that are large, and so I wanted a larger megapixel camera, but you don't need to get that when you're starting out. If you have a 24 to 26, that's perfectly fine for starting out. And of course, I do like mirrorless because the electronic viewfinder and just the more compact design that you'll get with mirrorless or micro four third cameras. Many people have those as well. But whatever it is, you don't have to spend money on the high-end ones at this point. Now, whether you have a crop sensor or full frame, either will work. I actually have a full frame, but for some years I had a crop sensor, and that's perfectly fine. Now, I would consider purchasing used. Now, you can get some really good used cameras at some of the online camera stores like B&H, Adorama, MPB, KEH. Now, I have sold equipment to KEH that I know was in really good shape, and they have resold it. Get some really good deals there. Plus, buying from somebody you know and trust, a photographer. Oh, another good place to find good deals is your local camera store. So you could probably get some used deals over there as well. Now, another thing that's really important to have is some lenses that are good for landscape photography. And I would say you should buy quality. Less affordable ones, like going with Tamron or Sigma, doesn't mean less quality. Some of those are pretty darn good quality. Now, I would recommend a wide angle lens. I have a 16 to 35. I had a Sigma in the past, and I actually sold it because this is a little lighter weight, and I like taking this in my bag because it's lighter weight. But it's a 16 to 35 millimeter. It's a fantastic lens, and I recommend that for like shooting waterfalls, sometimes sea stacks on the beaches. Start with a really good wide angle lens, whether it's used or new. But of course, if you want to save money, I would recommend something like a Tamron or a Sigma version. When I started in landscape photography, I heard you needed a good wide angle lens, like a 16 to 35, also a 24 to 70, and maybe a 70 to 200. And that's great, but you might not need to spend money on 3 different size lenses all at once. Consider buying something like this. I have a Tamron 28 to 200. So you get a very wide range of focal length in this, and this is like $799. And it's a fantastic lens that goes along with me whenever I'm hiking. I'll bring just one lens. Sometimes I just bring this. If I know I'm going to do like waterfalls or something, I'll bring the 16 to 35. But this is a great focal range, and it's really inexpensive. You might even be able to find a used one for a pretty good price. Now, I do have a 70 to 200. I have a 20 to 70 and a 70 to 200 plus an extender I use with this one so I can get more reach. But, like if I'm on a long hike, I just oftentimes just bring this, and it works out great. It's surprisingly good and sharp for such a inexpensive lens, but it is quality, I would say. Number 3 on my list would be to get a handful of batteries. You don't want to be out in, you've hiked somewhere and you're out in the outdoors and you run out of batteries. So definitely carry a few, especially if you have like a, mirrorless camera. They tend to eat the batteries quicker. So I would recommend you have at least a couple, maybe 3. I have 4, 1 in my camera and then 4 extra. And I rarely need any of those, maybe 2 of them. But it's good to have them, especially when you don't want to miss out on, like I said, you don't want to be out there and your camera dies. That's the worst. So number 4 on my list would be memory card. My camera has a dual memory card slots, and it comes in handy because I have it set so that it copies to the second one. And that way, if that card fails, I'll have a backup. Most cameras do not have that dual camera slot. So what you need to do is bring some extra memory cards. So this container is waterproof, I believe, and you can bang it around and you're not going to hurt your cards. But it holds quite a bit, as you can see. I only brought this when I went to Europe. I rarely bring this with me on, a couple of days out or whatever. But I do bring a few of them. But the bigger cards that I have now are 128 gigabytes because I do some video. You want a fast card, and I have these SanDisk Extreme Pros, 128 gigabytes. You should have at least a few extra ones because, again, you do not want to be deleting images that you've just taken so that you can make room for others on your trip. The next thing I recommend is a good tripod. Now, this tripod is probably only my 3rd in my entire time of doing landscape photography. Now, the first thing I bought was something really cheap, and I don't want you to make that mistake. You do have to spend a little bit of money in order to get a very sturdy, and you can get a carbon fiber one like this one, which weighs less. And this one has a ball head so that you can have a quick release here. And I just really love having a ball head. I think they're really great. Another one that I have is currently, this is my travel one, hiking one, because it's small, compact. Anyways, it has a ball head as well. And it's very lightweight. I brought this one to England last year and it worked out really well. Now, I wouldn't use this on the beaches of Oregon with the surf and the high winds. You need something sturdier. So one of the things I love to photograph the most is any kind of flowing water, whether that's at a beach or a creek or river, waterfall. So I like to carry a circular polarizing filter. Now, there's 2 kinds you can get. You can get the screw-ons and you can get the magnetic ones. And that's currently what I use, a magnetic circular polarizing filter. Now, what's nice about them is when you're photographing, say, water, you can cut the glare by just rotating it until it's clear, and it just cuts the glare. And also it works good on leaves that are wet, things like that, foliage in the forest. So I have used the square and the sort of rectangular ones that have a contraption you put on the front of your lens in the past, and I just hated them. It was just too much setup for me, and I just love having simple things. So these work out great. Now, you are going to pay more money. This is a Maven filter, and I have a whole set of them here. Different filters that I may use for more creative style. But the one I use the most is my circular and my ND filter. Now, the ND filter is great for doing long exposures, and I have various sizes of those that I like to use. But I would say if you just didn't have the money to get a whole set of them, that I would just get one and start with the screw-on kind, because they're very affordable compared to the others. And this one is a Hoya one, and it's probably, I don't know, 40 bucks maybe. But if you invest later in a quality filter set, it's pretty spendy. So just start simple, and believe me, if you just buy the circular polarizing filter, it's really going to make your images pop. You can also use the filters for bringing out color and the sky, the blue. So they're very useful, and I use them all the time. Now, having a quality camera bag is important to carry and protect your gear. One that comes with a cover that you can put on if it's raining to protect from water damage is also a plus. Now, you can spend a lot of money on camera bags, and currently I'm using Shimoda bags the last 3 years or so. I love them, but they're costly. And if you're just starting out, look for something affordable. And sometimes, like I've sold camera bags before for so cheap. You might find a good used one that's in pretty good condition. So I would look for something that's really going to protect your gear, but also that's comfortable. Now, I've done 3 videos or so on camera bag models. Find something that is really comfortable. So another thing that's really important is having an editing software for your photos. Now there's many free ones out there, and I'll put a list of them somewhere either in the description below, or I don't have any experience with those. I've been using Adobe Lightroom for years and Photoshop. Now Lightroom over the years has gotten so good. Maybe just starting out, getting a subscription for Adobe Lightroom might be the thing to do. I mentioned earlier that having a camera that shoots in RAW is really important, and that is how you'll process your images. If you shot them in RAW, they'll be easy for you to have control over the editing process. Now there's some important things to have as well as some backup drives. Now I use a cloud service, Backblaze, but I also have several drives where I have backups. So having multiple backups is a good idea. So it's important to clean your lenses and your camera. So having a blower and microfiber cloths, several of those are nice, especially if it's raining or you've got mist. You're going to be out in the field and you're going to be able to clean off your lens to keep from ruining your images. Now, when I was talking about the camera bags, I mentioned a cover for your bag. That's really important. If yours didn't come with one, it's nice to have one, some sort of cover to protect your gear. And also maybe a cover to protect your camera from wind and rain is also a good idea. I've had one that I've had for years, but a lot of people start out and they just use things like a shower cap to protect their camera. And that's good in a pinch, but if you're shooting on the Oregon coast or some coastal windy conditions, that's not going to hold up. So investing in a good cover for your camera could be a good idea if you're out in some really bad weather. I like to carry a headlamp when I'm out after dark because that's important that you can see on the trail in front of you. Bringing a headlamp is a pretty nice thing to have as well in your backpack. I hope you found this information helpful to you as you're beginning your landscape photography journey. And please don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have any questions whatsoever. And I'll be sure and get back to you. Consider subscribing and also giving a thumbs up to this video. It really helps my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.